Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This week's video is me talking about my April reads and the books that I want to read in May. So let's just hop right in. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy yourself. So the first book that I read in April was The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This was my first Ali Hazelwood book. Also, my camera's about to die and I'm just now realizing that. Let's see how far we can get. Let's just say I went into this book blind. I didn't really look up anything before this. I knew it was I knew it was a romance, but I didn't know it was fake dating. And one thing about me, I love fake dating. So that caught me off guard in the best way possible, and I enjoyed that. However, I listened to this on audiobook, and I shouldn't have done that because I feel like I would have enjoyed myself more if I read it physically. My rating on this book is my fault if it's low. It's not really the book's fault, because aspects of the book I really enjoyed, but again, I feel like I would have enjoyed it and given it a higher rating if I read it physically. It was at least above a 3.5, I know that, but I feel like I need to reread this in order to properly rate it and be able to be like, okay, here's my thoughts on it. You know what I mean? I have nothing else to say on this one. Also, I love this cover. Ali Hazelwood covers go pretty hard. Also, be forewarned, I think Ali Hazelwood's all of her romances are quite spicy. This one, from what I remember, there wasn't a spice scene until way towards the end, and I think there were multiple spice scenes. The next book I read was Sunrise on the Reaping. I did a whole entire reading vlog with Sunrise on the Reaping, so if you want to watch that, go ahead. I'll link it down below or somewhere on the screen. Don't know. I gave Sunrise on the Reaping 5 stars. Sunrise on the Reaping follows Haymitch, and we get his backstory in his games in Sunrise on the Reaping. But needless to say, if you watched my reading vlog on this book, I was crying in the car. I don't want to say too much because I feel like this book was and is very highly anticipated for so many people. And even though it came out a good while ago, I'm still going to keep my review and my thoughts on it kind of brief because, again, I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't read it yet. Like I said, it's on Haymitch's games, and you're introduced to his family briefly, and you go through him in the reaping process and then him and his games. I feel like the reason why this book stuck with me so heavily was because going through the process of him going through the reapings, going to the what is it called when they bring him into the Capitol, before the games, that whole process before he goes into the games, during his interview and meeting the candidates, or however you say that, the other kids that are going to be in the arena with him, and you're following along with him on that journey. This was my thought process, at least. I was willingly going through, choosing to go through that heartbreak of reading this book and building opinions on these other kids from the other districts and getting attached to them, knowing full well that they're going to die. Not a spoiler, Haymitch won his games, that's why he's alive and he is a mentor to Katniss and Peeta. That was one of the reasons why it hit me so hard, was because I got really connected and attached to a few of the other characters, and I don't want to say too much on that because, again, I don't want to spoil anything. So once again, my rating was 5 stars. If you haven't read this book, please go read it. Oh, freak, my battery's dying. My camera died, so we're filming on my phone. So welcome back. The next book that I read in April was If You Ask Me by Libby Huber. I think that's how you say that name. This book is a little confusing when I think back. I can't pinpoint exactly what I didn't like. It was just a book that I didn't really connect to the characters. There wasn't anything particularly wrong with the writing or the storyline or anything like that. I just didn't really connect to them. This book follows Violet, and she finds her husband cheating on her, and so basically she's going through this process of divorce, and our MMC, which is Dez, he's a firefighter, and basically it's kind of it's a romance between the two of them, Violet and Dez, and Dez helping her through this tough time in life of her going through trying to file for divorce, and other drama at her work because she's a journalist, or a person that works on a column at her work, and just drama through that, and Des helping her through that, and also obviously issues with her husband. I thought it was cute. Again, I didn't connect to any of them, and that's not really the book's fault. That's pretty much it. I give this book 2 stars. Next book. This was a reread, Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This is Second Chance, and this is Childhood Friends to Lovers. Think of Love in Other Words and put it in a summer setting, and that's what this book is. I gave this a lower rating than I did the first time I listened to it, and the reason was this book has a trope in it that I cannot stand, and that is cheating. It just really bothered me, and that's the reason why I gave this book 3 stars instead of, I think I gave it 4.5, maybe even 5 the first time I listened to this. And you may be wondering, Lindsay, why didn't the cheating bother you the first time? I don't remember it. And I guess my brain just like cut it out because I genuinely don't remember it, and I went out and bought this book like a few months ago, and I was like, oh, I'm so excited to reread it. I remember it being so summery. Reread it, lo and behold. Everything aside from the negativity that I had to say, I really did enjoy it. I love a good childhood friends to lovers. Those are my thoughts on this one. The next book that I read was Where We Left Off. I read this book on Kindle Unlimited. I was going through Book Talk one night, and this book came up. Let's just say this was my first taste of Wattpad. Actually, I can't say that for sure because I've never actually read a Wattpad story. But if I could imagine what a Wattpad book is, this is what I would imagine. It being Second Chance, if I remember correctly. It's set in high school. Again, if I remember correctly. I could look up the synopsis, but I'm just not going to. I've never actually heard anybody talk about this book besides the one girl that I saw post a video on TikTok about. And it was just kind of like an impulse read. I like read it because like the information, like the plot and the info of the book didn't stick with me. Wait, I remember it now. It's low-key forced proximity. Stop, I remember even more. It is low-key stepbrother romance. Wait, stepsister romance? So if you don't want like a majority of the information and the plot like about to be dumped on you, see it through this. This is your warning. She dated him in high school way back. Her dad's not in the picture anymore, and so her mom starts dating this guy. She comes to find out that this guy has a son, and that son is her ex from high school, and they hit it off again, and they start dating again. So the parents are dating, the kids are dating. And I don't know why I forgot about that. I think my mind like just tried to like erase it because I never read books like that. Again, this is what I get for impulsively reading books on my Kindle at 1 a.m. It wasn't really for me, and I'm actually shocked that I gave it 3 stars because the step-sibling romance really bothers me, and I genuinely don't know why I forgot about it until now. The next book I read was actually my first ARC ever. Thank you to NetGalley for giving me my first ARC ever. Even though literally anyone can get an e-ARC, I don't care because it's my first e-ARC. This book was called I Don't Date Hockey Players. The thing that stuck out like for this book for me was the cover. I am a sucker for a good cover. I read it and I didn't really connect to the characters very much. This book, again, it was very exciting to get an e-ARC, so I went straight into it and I was really excited to get into it and get it finished. And I rated it 2 stars. This book follows Anna Green. I don't remember exactly what her job is, but her job has to do with a hockey team. It's a hockey romance. Her job has to do with working with hockey game sales, and basically the conflict or like the driving force of this book is like the ticket sales for their hockey team is like plummeting, so she has to work. Maybe she works in the advertising team. Kind of like got to me in this book was the switching of point of views. Also the 2 boys in the love triangle. One of them is extremely arrogant and was kind of annoying to read about, I hate to say. On the plus side, I feel like every good like romance, like good rom-com book has to have like a funny character, and that comedic relief character was Anna's best friend Allison. She was just so funny at times. Like I like laughed out loud a few of the times. Also, again, the cover, it really got me. Like that's what drew me to this book. So whoever the graphic design team for this book is, applause to you. The next book I read, this was a reread. I read Better Than the Movies. I brought this book on my vacation. If you want to watch me read this on vacay, go watch my Gulf Shores vlog. I went to Gulf Shores Easter weekend and I brought this book along with me. And I had annotated this book before, hence the many tabs. And so my reread was me reading my annotated thoughts from the first reread that I did of this book. I gave this book 5 stars because this is one of my favorite rom-coms, favorite romances set in high school. This is my favorite Lynn Painter book ever, and I always recommend this book to people. Liz and Wes, they are childhood kind of like rivals. He's always kind of annoyed her growing up, and they live in houses right beside each other. It's senior year in high school for them. This book, it just gives me the ultimate like rom-com vibes. That's why I love it so much. That's why I've read it 3 times. Like, this time around, I didn't love Liz as much as I did the first time. However, my love for Wes has stuck with me, and even more so this time around. I love it so much. Like, I fell in love with them the first time I read it in 2023, and that's like stuck with me until now. So that's saying something. So please go read this if you have not. So I was editing this video and realized I never talked about a book, which I actually finished after filming that video. So I'm popping in real quick. Once Upon a Broken Heart. This was a book that I literally finished that night that I finished filming that video. So here we are. This book was a 5-star. Is that bothering y'all? There we go. This book was a 5-star for me. If you never heard of the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, I'm about to put you on and change your life because I love this trilogy so much. This is my 3rd time reading this. It's about Evangeline Fox, and it follows she is the main character, but you're introduced to a MMC very early on, and I would call him the main character as well, and that is Jax. He's a fate, and the book kicks off with Evangeline trying to stop a wedding, as Evangeline has always believed in true love and happy endings until she learns that the love of her life will marry another. So basically, Evangeline's trying to stop this wedding. So in turn, she makes a deal with the fate named Jax, and he is what is his name? Prince of Hearts. The Prince of Hearts. I don't know why I forgot that. In this world, it's a very magical world. People relate it to Alice in Wonderland. I don't know much about Alice in Wonderland, so do with that information what you will. But I've heard people relate it to that. In this world, you are told to never make a deal with fates because they're very scheming and conniving, I guess. Especially Jax. He's described as being very like morally gray, and so she makes a deal with him, and in turn he is like, okay, you have to give me 3 kisses, like you have to kiss whoever I want you to kiss whenever I tell you to. So she's like, okay, deal. And so that kicks off the story. Like, she's trying to stop this wedding of like her one true love, and he's marrying somebody else. And so obviously there's more to the book, but I don't want to spoil anything else because Stephanie Garber has such a way of writing just a plot and dialogue between 2 characters in such like a flowy manner. She's descriptive about things, but in a very intriguing and involving way. Like, she makes me want to actually read. What a funny concept. This book made me fall in love with fantasy. Anyways, this book is a 5-star. If you haven't read Once Upon a Broken Heart, please go read it. It has one of my favorite fantasy couples ever. Anyways, that's all I'm gonna say. I'll let you get back to the video. Alright. This book that I read was The Passion Project by London Sperry. Is that right? This was another e-arc that I got from NetGalley, so thank you, NetGalley. Such a good romance, and I feel like the author did such a great job of depicting and writing about what it is like to go through depression and have anxiety. It really left an impression on me. This book follows Bennett and Henry, I believe. We're kind of following Bennett through life. Henry, even though she left a bad impression on him of like their first date, he was such a sweet guy that he came back around and made kind of like a pact with her to help her find her passion in life. Also, this book is set in New York City. I don't know if I said that. But I just thought Henry, the embassy, was so sweet in the way of him kicking off this deal with her. But writing about a girl who, again, struggles with depression and anxiety and doesn't really know what she wants to do with her life. And that's what made me give the book 4 stars. Like, I loved it so much because, like, even though I kind of like struggled through it at times, at the end I was like, wow, that was incredible. And I gave it 4 stars. Okay, those are all the books that I read in April, but I do want to talk about briefly some of the books that I want to read this next upcoming month. Those are 2 Emily Henry books that I really want to read, People We Meet on Vacation and Beach Read. These two I either want to read next month or like sometime in the summer, because I've heard they are very like atmospheric and they put you in like a good like summery mood. And then we have A Curse of True Love. Also, I got the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, and I think it's very pretty. The last book that I want to read hopefully this upcoming month is Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. This is the second book in the, it's right there. It's called The Shepherd King. It is a dark fantasy. I wasn't like really into the plot, but I was like, I still want to know like where the story ends off. You know what I mean? Those are the books that I read in April. I'm actually just now realizing they're all blue, and that makes me happy. Thank you for watching. If you stuck around this long, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. That's it. I hope you have a blessed day. Bye!